Hi, I'm Sunny, and this is episode 2 of Such Great Heights. For first-time listeners, I'm Sunny. I'm an award-nominated music industry blogger based in London. I've had over 10 years working in concert promoting, European tour management, artist management, and more. You can find me sharing daily music industry content on Twitter at Sunny Norwich, on Facebook by searching Music Blog Sunny, and more in-depth pieces on my blog at www.sunnystuartwinter.com. Thanks to everyone who checked out episode 1 and subscribed on iTunes. I really appreciate all the great comments, messages of support, and people sharing it with friends. For this podcast to grow, I really need your help in sharing this far and wide. In this episode, I chat with Laila K from Sonic Boom 6, a band who, for over 10 years, have toured the world, played the greatest festivals, including Reading, Leeds and Download here in the UK, and consistently, creatively delivered a message through their music. At a time where Brexit looms and President and Trump are two words that somehow go together now, it was the perfect time to talk to Laila about the band's political voice, the echo chamber of social media, and much more. We also talk widely about identity, growing up in Manchester, being an Asian female singer in a predominantly white male music industry, and recent album The F-Bomb, which features artwork of Laila in a niqab. It's a fiery one, containing strong language, but I really think there is gold in this one, but I'll let you be the judge of that. I'd love to hear from you, the listener. Follow and tweet at SuchGreat on Twitter, or like and comment on Facebook. Search Such Great, all one word, to let me know what you think of this episode and who you would like to see as a guest soon. I'll see you on the other side. Laila K.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's
Yeah.
nice and sunny today.
Nice and sunny. Yeah,
Can't
I am.
complain.
Yeah, getting slightly warm, but it's all
It's a
good.
bit toasty in here, isn't it? But
Yeah, but it's freezing outside, so
it's true.
it's worth the sacrifice.
It
Or
is.
is it a sacrifice? Yeah, I guess it is.
It's a pleasure. That's what it is.
There you go. Pleasure.
So I always start this kind of thing the same way. What is your earliest music memory?
It's probably being in the car with my dad and him playing Simon and Garfunkel.
Nice.
Yeah, I always knew I was the kind of person that loved music because I'd always like sit with my dad or my uncle when they'd be playing music, and I'd like listen along. And then I remember I saw the Freddie Mercury tribute concert on TV.
Yeah.
And Guns N' Roses came out, and I think they did Hammer to Fall, and I was just like, what is this, and how do I do it?
Is that when you become, because you're quite a big Guns N' Roses fan?
Yeah, massive.
Understatement.
I think, yeah, I was about 10, 11, and that's when I decided that rock music was for me. Yeah, without a doubt. And then, it was Guns N' Roses. Then I got into Skid Row, Pantera, Rage Against the Machine. And you know, when you're a kid, it's kind of like, well, if you're into metal, that's it. You're not into anything else. And then it's as I got a bit older, and I met Barney in school. He was like, "Oh, you should listen to Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers." And I was like, "No." And then I did, and then it was The Prodigy, and then it was Beastie Boys, and
good era.
Good,
like tons of good music around that time.
Yeah, and then as I got a little bit older than that, I started listening to Madness and the Specials. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting journey, but quite an obvious journey as well. Sense Really.
From one to
and
the
then
other.
there was like Cap Down, King Prawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's all from the love of rock that it's kind of come to where it is.
Sounds good. So when did you first kind of get in music as a performer, the performance side?
Not so I was about 16, 17. So Barney was in a band, putting together a band. And it was him, a guy called Simon Ospina, and Neil, our old drummer, on drums. And
is that Grimace?
No, this was pre-Grimace. This was pre-me.
Oh, okay.
And they used to rehearse in Barney's garage. And I remember, like, Barney was like, "Oh, you come and sing this song." I think it was like something by Alanis Morissette or something. And I was like, no. I'm really embarrassed. And then I just started, singing in that band. Like doing Faith No More tunes, Alanis Morissette, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then, I just kind of became the singer. And then our mate Dave joined because Simon... I don't know what happened to Simon. And then that was Grimace.
So it went from there.
Yeah.
So what happened from sort of Grimace to Sonic Boom 6?
I started drinking when I was 12, so my memory is not great. Grimace Sonic. So in Grimace, we had this manager. We had that used to manage a band called Teenage Fan Club.
Yeah.
That were quite big in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember them.
So we were like, oh my God, we're going to be famous. Yeah. This is going to be the best thing ever. And we, played like weird, horrible showcases in Manchester where the winners were already decided, but we were so young and naive. You know, we were like 16, 17. We were young and naive and didn't think anything of it. We'd play like these weird factory record things, you know, and we were a ska band.
Yeah.
Like we actually thought, we were ska and like a little bit rock. We were awful, but we clearly didn't look or sound like any of the bands that were doing these showcases.
Yeah.
And then Barney got a bit disheartened by it all, and we were like, why are we doing this? Because we're not a pop band. We're not fitting in with anyone. Like, everyone hates us. And so we called it a day, and then Barney was like, I still want to do music.
Yeah.
Let's start this band Sonic Boom 6 where we actually play music that we want rather than to try and fit into a scene that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, what are we listening to? We're listening to Cat Down, King Prawn, Prodigy, Rancid, Fugees, The Streets. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. It's a great time for that music as well, because, I mean, the first I heard of you guys was Sounds to Consume. When that EP came out.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that came out in 2004.
Yeah.
From my notes. And the first I saw, I don't know if I've ever actually told you this, but in 2006, I was at the Retro Bar in Manchester with Blag.
Oh.
I was on a tour with them up north.
Oh.
And you guys were on the bill as well.
Yeah. We went through a phase of playing Retro Bar, and we put on Lightyear there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started, like, we were proper sort of like eat, breathe, live music.
Yeah.
In Manchester, and even though Manchester was predominantly indie, Oasis, and like you still can't walk through Manchester now without seeing a faux Liam Gallagher,
fur jacket and everything.
Yeah. But there was quite a good scene because of the UK sort of underground punk scene.
Definitely.
So there was Adequate 7, Freaks Union, Howard's Alias, No Comply. Lightyear, all bands that were coming through Manchester that we could jump on board with. And even though lots of them bands were doing something different, as in Adequate 7 were like punk but with a funk edge, we were still pretty weird. It's like Nick, who I'm with now, who used to be in Howard's Alias. Like some of our first gigs were with Cat Down and Howard's Alias. And, he says, like, the first time he saw us, him and Matt Reynolds, who was in Howard's Alias, were like, what? What is this? Like, is this good or is this bad? Like, they actually... And I'm not surprised. I probably would have been the same. And then we became known as the druggy band, just because we were from Manchester and looked not punk.
Yeah.
I guess this is what happens in this middle class white scene. You get labelled.
Yeah, makes sense. So was there many venues sort of? I know obviously the Retro Bar and Manchester does
Satan's
have tons
Hollow.
of...
Satan's Hollow was like the one. Star and Garter was like another big one. That's where we had our first ever gig.
Yeah.
Star and Garter, Satan's Hollow, Retro Bar. Yeah, they were the main ones really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about, I mean, in the early days were you mostly playing around Manchester, or did you try and
No,
escape?
not at all. not at all. We did a couple of gigs in Manchester, and then we got on a booking agent who used to book every UK punk ska band.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a scene then, and we were so lucky to be part of it, even though we weren't wholly accepted because it was an Asian girl with hoops, earrings, and a cap.
Yeah.
And a small, angry ginger boy who rapped. You know, we weren't. We made some really good friends, but we were not accepted by the scene, so to speak. But it was fine because without that scene, we wouldn't still be going.
Yeah. So was it very easy to kind of find shows in the early days if people were kind of
without
unsure,
a doubt?
maybe?
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, because we had this booking agent. The first tour we did was like with King Prawn for like 2 weeks. Then we went out with Whitmore and Bar Luck for, it was back in the day when you did a 3-week tour of the UK.
Yeah.
In a car and hopes for the best.
Yeah.
Like we did so many 3-week tours around the UK in 1 year.
Yeah.
That it was just, you went everywhere, from Arbroath in Scotland to Norwich to like Scunthorpe. Like you would play these places, Glaisbury. You'd play these like not town halls, like village halls where the kids would just. There'd be hundreds of kids that are just coming to watch a band.
I definitely remember that when touring with Black.
I don't think that exists anymore. Really.
Yeah, I don't think so. I seem to remember being in Taunton, which I don't even know where that is, but it was in some kind of back room, and I think we slept in the car park in a van.
There was a lot of getting so drunk that you didn't mind falling asleep out.
You'd rather kind of pass out than try and sleep the traditional way.
Yeah.
So I mean, with that scene, like you were saying, a kind of ska and punk, especially around that era. I don't know how much it's changed now, but bands did tour relentlessly, and I mean, I remember
that's how the booking agent made his money.
Yeah,
because he it was kind of a false economy, because as a booking agent, you kind of don't want to oversaturate like the areas with the same bands again and again.
Yeah.
But if you've got a booking agent who's, who has to pay a mortgage, then you just get them bands out on rotation.
Yeah.
It's, a total false economy. But at the same time, if the UK is so small, I don't think there aren't them gigs to be had these days where you go out. And we would literally go out for 3 weeks and be back for a month and then go out for 3 weeks again. And that is what made us sort of hone our like sound, and it's only getting out on the road and being all together that you can actually be a band.
Do you know, that leads very nicely into my next question? So what role did touring play with kind of the development of the sound? I mean, obviously you'd written the songs before, but
just a massive role, because playing the songs live and seeing people's reaction, just watching other bands, even bands like Strike Anywhere, who we didn't tour with but we kind of crossed paths, and RX Bandits, they did massive tours of the UK. You'd watch them and your sort of next 2 or 3 songs would sound like them, because you couldn't help it. They're so good. You just and as a musician, you're constantly looking for influences, I think. Like, unless you're the kind of person that can just sit there and write songs, you're looking for influences and you're looking for that spark for you to go, actually this this will sound great.
Yeah.
If we try this, and because it's us, however much you're trying to copy someone, it'll never actually sound like them.
Yeah.
Like you'll hear influences.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
A lot of our really good fans know that our songs are just copy and paste.
Yeah.
We hear something and copy it and paste it and then move on.
Yeah, I always remember RX Bandits. I remember seeing them at the ferry boat back
They were,
in Norwich, but
like amazing.
Yeah.
And, like they went a bit too muso for me, but you know, they could play an 1 hour song and you'd be mesmerised just watching them. But then if they wanted to play the hits, they could do that.
Like the Mars Volta or Scar.
Yes, yeah. But they have got a Mars Volta connection.
Oh, really?
Because the bass player is... Oh, there's some gossip to be had, but I really can't remember it.
Maybe off the podcast, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'd say it, but I can't remember it. It's something Aaron from Real Big Fish told me, but I actually can't remember it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, my memory is just so bad.
Some drinking from 12, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Take note, kids. Don't drink.
I mean, I find it really interesting with Sonic Boom 6, having looked, I mean, from sort of sounds to consume onwards to where you're at now. I think with yourselves and I think Enter Shikari as well, there's been such an evolution of sound while still sticking authentically to what you do. So, I mean, can you maybe talk a little bit about how your sound evolved, like maybe each album or...
Well, with Sounds to Consume, it was kind of that was like the beginning. You know, we had this idea of this sort of mashup of like Fugees, Cap Down, Streets, that kind of thing. And that's what we tried to capture. But at the time, it's like Barney was sort of the spearheading the free party, jungle, punk sort of element. But then we also had Ben, who played sax and guitar, who was more of a natural songwriter. So he could just sit in the van, have an idea, and the song would be written. It would be a song that you could play on acoustic guitar. Yeah. Like with like nice moving chords and a nice melody, and it's always about like, you know, quite poignant songs. So we always had that sort of light and shade. Yeah. And then with with Rough Guy, that was kind of like, this is us, we're here. Yeah. This is our album. Again, it was all sort of free party, you know, really like strong social commentary.
Yeah, definitely.
Like with stuff like Piggy in the Middle. And then with Arcade Perfect, we tried to go a little bit, not poppier, because by pop I don't mean like Justin Bieber. I mean more like not even accessible, but
like
better songs, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's more like concentrating on choruses and stuff like that. Yeah. But then also keeping the sort of ska punk vibe to it. So that kind of, when you listen to that album, there's not much of a cohesiveness. Yeah. There's like one song's this, one song's that, one song's that. Then there's really heavy songs. And then with City of Thieves, we decided we wanted to make a really heavy album. Yeah. But then you've still got Through the Eyes of a Child, you know, because we always have got that song in us, the sort of ska song. And then with Sonic Boom 6, we went a bit more sort of rocky rather than punk. Just because what we do is there's always one song that comes first and that sets the blueprint. Yeah. So with Sonic Boom 6, the song was Virus. Like we had other ideas and stuff, but that became the most complete and the song we were most excited about. Yeah. So that kind of set the blueprint for the rest of the album. Yeah. So even though there's like songs that aren't sort of skin dready, dance rock on there, that's just because we're incapable of creating an album of 10 songs that sound the same.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. We've been told by various people that we should, the F-bomb is as close as we've ever got to creating an album where every song has some kind of like fluidity.
Yeah.
And even then, when we were sort of sending it out to people like labels and stuff, they were like, oh, it's kind of like it jumps from one thing to the next. And I just thought, oh, you have not heard it. You've not heard anything if you think this jumps from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
But we're just at that point now where we're lucky to still be in a band.
Yeah.
I don't know any other bands, Cap Down and King Prawn get back together again.
Yeah.
But, they've been away.
Yeah.
We just want to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I think first and foremost, you got to write the songs that you enjoy playing, and you
exactly, and it's whatever is, with this. So we're doing we're putting together, and it's not a new album. It's like to add to the Sonic Boom 6 collection.
Yeah.
Of 8 songs that we're going to release. We're going to do a pledge for in April.
Okay.
And they are pure punk, like hardcore punk.
Yeah.
Because we're like, we've done the F-bomb, and like now we want like, a collection of songs where it sounds like we've got in a garage and just thrashed it out.
Yeah.
Because that's like we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
We've earned the right to be able to do a ska album, do a reggae album, do a punk rock album.
Yeah.
We can do what we want.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So, we listened to Minor Threat, Rancid, Operation Ivy, and we all went away and just came up with our own ideas for that. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's probably, well, hopefully bands listening who might have more than one songwriter or more than 2 songwriters. How does it work in terms of, obviously you all understand your sound and what you're trying to get, but you must come out with different ideas and
all the
time.
Yeah, totally. It's like it depends on the time. So say something like Worship Yourself, which I came up with. If I would have come up with that for the album before, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But there are songs that I've come up with because I tend to write poppier songs.
Yeah.
Because I don't listen to punk rock.
Yeah.
It's not. I enjoy it, but I don't find it pleasing to the ears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I love listening to like Lady Gaga or even like the poppier elements of Dub Pistols.
Yeah.
That's where I got the idea for Worship Yourself. I was listening to a Dub Pistols album.
Yeah.
And there was a song, and there was I can't even remember what song it is, but there's like a melody, and I was like, oh, that melody would really work if it went like it went high and then low.
Yeah.
And then I was like messing about with a few things, and then I just came up with like the chorus for Worship Yourself, and I was like, oh my god, that's a really good theme to write about. And then everything sort of came around that. But that definitely wouldn't have worked. I only came up with that because I was listening to things to inspire me to write the new album, which we knew was going to be ska.
Yeah. And I guess having had the path of the albums before, kind of on this transition constantly, and I mean they all fit together. It's
nice to have a blueprint. It's nice to have that one song. So like with this new thing we're doing, I went away, I listened to Minor Threat, who, I know are amazing, but I'm not a big fan of Minor Threat.
Yeah.
I would never listen to Minor Threat.
Yeah.
Like, so the first Minor Threat song I heard, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, and just instantly something came to me, got my idea down, like, sent it over to everyone. That's the first thing we've, like, demoed.
Yeah.
And now that's the blueprint.
Yeah.
So that's what you can deviate from it, but not too much, because it's got to all snap back into that song.
Yeah.
And we always try and do that, but then all the songs never sound the same.
Yeah.
Because I think we're just incapable of making songs sound the same.
Plus, That's part of the charm as well of not having, like, you hear some albums and it's like, well, this is just a different version of the single slightly. At least you've got...
We have tried to do that because it would be easier, but it just never works for us.
So do you think, do labels, have they come to terms with the fact that you probably won't come with that kind of album that sounds all the same? Are they all right with that generally?
Yeah. I think we have the right label for where we're at in our careers. So with, well, I'll say that, but then for Sonic Boom 6, which was on Extra Mile, you know, they loved it. And we were like, okay, like, wow, to be on Extra Mile is like a dream come true, but you know it doesn't sound like anything else on your roster. It doesn't sound like Frank Turner. It doesn't sound like Beans on Toast. It doesn't sound like anything. But, you know, they were prepared to take the risk. And with Rough Guide, that came out on Deck Cheese, which was Big Cheese's label. Perfect fit. You know, perfect fit. Cherry Red, you know, predominantly ska label. F-Bomb made sense. We're kind of at that... I don't know, we're one of them bands where it's great to have a home for the album. You know, having a label makes things so much easier. But we've self-released like 2 of our own albums. We know how to do it, and we've got really good fans that like buy our stuff.
Dedicated. And I think because you come from that independent scene in the early days, especially, you know how to graft, basically. Exactly. And you know, things are changing, and they always will be, and you just have to adapt. It's like, you can't sit and moan about it because you're just going to get left behind. No, definitely. Now I wanted to talk about the fact that there are very few female voices in what is predominantly probably a white male orientated music industry. So could you maybe talk about what it's like as a British Pakistani female in a largely white male orientated music world? It's funny because when I was growing up, I never thought about it. So we'd turn up to places like Yeovil, where's that? Oh, like loads of... Yeovil isn't one, but, you know, like squaddy towns. Like, what's it called? It's one like big up Amersham or something. You know, like, you'd kind of turn up to these towns, and I'd never think about it. And even growing up, I never thought of myself as being any different than anybody else. Obviously, there was them undertones at home, because even though my dad's westernised and drinks beer and eats bacon, he is Pakistani, and my mum is a practicing Muslim. So there was always that push and pull to be like, you know, you can wear what you want, hang out with your mates, you know, have posters of Axl Rose up in your room. But then there would still be that, you know, something wasn't quite right, where, you know, if my mates, just for no reason, if my mates could do something I couldn't that day. There was no justification. It was just because in Asian families, the sort of control and power of the dad is kind of predominant. It's you know, it's quite matriarchal as well, but at the same time, it's kind of like the dad is who you're scared of and you listen to. And especially being the only girl as well. So growing up, I never really thought about it. Even at gigs and stuff, it was never got any racism or anything. But now when I look back at it, and now when I look out into the audience, and, you know, when we play your Downloads and your Sonispheres, I'm like, there's something wrong. There's something wrong here. Like, I'm not saying it's the music scene, and I'm not saying it's Asian families. But it, you know, it's a bit better than it used to be, especially with bands like the Tuts that are around now at the moment, that actually, you know, highlight being multicultural in a predominantly male white music industry. But even when you just strip it back and you go, how many women are at your gigs? It's less. You know, and it might be because of the music we create, but even at
festivals. You know, we did this thing a few years ago where when we played Reading and Leeds, and I said on stage, I was like, you know, how I am the only, like, Sonic Boom 6 are the only band that day to have a woman singer.
Unbelievable.
Like seriously. And then there were people going, well, no, what about Marmozets? And it's like, well, A, they weren't playing that day.
Yeah.
And B, what about them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I meant two.
Doesn't make it any better, does
You know
it?
what I mean? And it got picked up by a guy in the Telegraph who said, you know, he'd not thought about it.
Yeah.
But then if you want to take it a step further and go, okay, how many female-fronted Asian or black women or any multicultural race are playing that festival the whole weekend? It's only going to be a handful.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It is crazy, isn't it? I mean,
you know, why?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen probably the last couple of years. You see, certainly on social media, you'll have like the poster for Reading and Leeds, but only with females in it, and it's so embarrassing because it's like with any female in any of the band, and it's, you know, maybe 5 or something like that.
Exactly. And that year in 2013, it was just us for that day. It certainly, if you're looking at the lock-up stage, it was for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I bet.
And that is your punk, your underground. And the thing is, it's like, I'm not saying that the music scene is racist or sexist. I think it is sexist, but I'm not saying it's racist because, you know, all the Asian girls I went to school with didn't have the same chances that I had. They weren't allowed to be in a band.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to hang around with white kids. You know, so I understand that. But then at the same time, how much of that, when we played the punk scene back in the day, how much of was that intolerance towards us was because it was an Asian brown girl singing them chav comments and calling us scallies. What are they just a hidden meaning for, you know, because nobody, like, so Nick used to live in a place called the Homestead in Southampton. Okay. And it was everyone welcome. They'd have gigs on every Sunday, acoustic gigs. You'd have Jason Webley coming from San Francisco to play. Oh, cool. And it was all encompassing until someone they didn't want was there. So instantly when I was there, it got everyone's backs up. Yeah, you know, I was a little brat. And I was, you know, everyone was getting stoned and I was there taking pills and getting pissed. You know, it was completely different. And then they'd have these books for sale called Chavs. And, and it'd be like this drawing of a kid in all Burberry. Yeah. And it's like, and I remember the guy that was selling it, I was like, do you not think that's offensive? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, that's kind of racist. Yeah. Because you're
a group of society, isn't it?
Yeah, I was saying, so you're basically saying someone that's got different views than you, that comes from a less privileged background, has to be labelled that. And he was like, no, but have you ever been mugged by one of them? Have you ever been in school and bullied by one of them? Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, but I don't see why that's relevant. Yeah. So when we had this, especially when we were on like Kerrang TV and stuff, the amount of people like fuming because there was an Asian girl on the telly, but not one single person would say it was because of that. But I'm telling you, it is because it's an Asian girl on telly, dressed how you don't expect her to dress, and the nearest insult to Paki or whatever you want to say that's acceptable is chav. Yeah. To me, because, you know, that, and people can argue with me and say I'm wrong and I'm looking into it way too much, but most of it was directed at me. Yeah. And most of it was directed by fans of other bands that just couldn't believe that we could exist in this same music scene.
it's just so ridiculous. I mean, all of that, the fact that it's, it's
but
not an
maybe if
equal...
I was wearing a sari, I wouldn't have got that. But maybe because I was wearing Adidas hoops, earrings and a cap. But I am a scally.
Yeah.
I'm from a council estate in Moss Side.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a pretend chav. I am one, if that's what you want to address me as. But you ain't got the right, not you, but you ain't got the right to address me as that.
And I think just like this just the obsession of having to pigeonhole people into you are this, you are that sort of thing. And I mean, the term chav anyway, like council house and violent, is like you put anyone in that, and it's like...
Is that what it stands for?
That's what it stands for, yeah. So...
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I can't remember who actually came up with it, but the fact that everyone gets pigeonholed, and I know now it's probably less about council house and violent, and more about just
an identity,
chav sort of thing, in quote marks. But yeah, I'm so bored of just... I mean, I think there is a problem with kind of identity, especially in like the social media era that we're in.
Yeah. It's like everyone's so scared to say. I don't know. It just got me that it was, if I would have called someone out for being racist, they'd be up in arms.
Yeah.
That I've got black friends, I've got Asian friends. It's like, yeah, but you fail to see that you're pigeonholing people because of how they're dressing.
Yeah.
If I went to a council estate in town in Manchester, I'd be posh. You know what I mean? They'd think I was posh.
Yeah.
I just think it's easy to use them words rather than to say, because it's the Southampton thing to me is the punk. Is the punk scene, is the rock scene. You go to, I know your downloads and your sonospheres are not, in their eyes, they don't not welcome people of different colour and gender. But I guess rock music has always been exclusive.
Yeah.
I was the only metal fan.
Yeah.
Like in my school, I was the only female Asian metal fan.
Really, yeah.
I wonder now, if you look at different schools, how them numbers are. I bet they're not that much different.
Yeah.
Because, maybe that is because rock is not inclusive, and maybe that is because the majority of Asian people, rock isn't on their radar.
Yeah.
But what if it is?
Yeah. And there's just barriers up to it.
What if it, it's like I watched Guns N' Roses for the first time. I watched Axl Rose and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
I just knew that that's what I wanted to do.
And why should there be a barrier up to anyone, whether, it's...
But the worst kind is the invisible barrier.
Yeah.
Because then people can say, what barrier? There isn't one.
Yeah.
But you're still meant to feel that there is one.
Yeah.
But, and even, all my life, and my mum does this really bad. Like, people say, oh, where are you from?
Yeah.
And she'll go, oh, somewhere near Turkey. She's from Pakistan.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. It's like, oh, yeah, this guy thought I was Spanish. And I was like, you're a Paki. What? Why are you so embarrassed to be that? No. Like, he thought I was Italian. And I'm like,
But why is that,
Yeah, and when I was younger, like, people would like knock on and I'd be like, right, get the air freshener, the house stinks of curry, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. And like people would be like, oh, what did you have for your tea? Oh, burgers and chips, when really I was sat there enjoying the best curry you're ever going to eat.
I'm jealous, it sounds good.
Yeah, it is. But as I've got older, and especially with this last album, I've gone, oh my god, like it's like people are embarrassed of the word Pakistani. I think because it sounds like Paki. And now people, like, not often, but I'll get, oh, where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm from Manchester. No, where are you really from?
Oh, God.
But this is people, intelligent people that aren't in inverted commas, racist. I'm like, Manchester. And then my mate, Chewy, she's just like, she's from fucking Old Trafford. She's a scally from fucking Old Trafford. Like, what more do you want? She gets really annoyed. And I'm like, look, they're just, people are just interested. So I'm like, oh, you know, I'm like, because really, I'm like half Pakistani, half Arabic. But now, just to fuck with people, I say, I'm Pakistani.
Yeah.
I love seeing people's faces. People are so uncomfortable with it, but I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I used to be. But I don't know. I just thought it meant I was not as pretty and not as cool and not as clever, and which, you know. But
I just think it's so ridiculous. Like, just because your parents might be from a different patch of soil, that you're deemed different. Like, I find it really interesting at the moment with how, although I'd like to think that we're kind of becoming like globalization and everything, I'd like to think it's going away where there's not so much importance over where you're from and everything. And then Trump gets in, and then Brexit happens, and all these ideas of like living within a community regardless of where you're from. It's so frustrating. Like, it's kind of one step forward, two steps back a lot of the time.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of like Brexit really took me down. Brexit, I honestly didn't think I was going to recover. I was sat there on Facebook, my thousands of friends all sharing anti-Brexit memes. And I'm like, went and voted. Went to Planet Organic, sat next to a Russian guy that was telling me about how everything's going to be all right, and he's been in the UK for this long, and so far everything's been great. Wake up in the morning and it's happened. And I'm like, oh my God, I sat on Facebook and expected it to be all right. Well, of course I'm not going to be friends with anyone that's sharing pro-Brexit. So I was just like, I've been completely blindsided by my own, you know, and I like to think I'm good at social media.
Yeah.
And I was, that really knocked it out of me. I just worry that even people like Barney, you know, people who are who have been super political in the past.
Yeah.
It's just a step too far, because even you've got people that it's just easier to not think about it. Yeah. And I know it's awful. Yeah. And I know, you know, but as you get older and you're in a band and life gets in the way, you can't, when things like that happen, it's really hard to have that passion of wanting to put it in your songs and stuff, because you kind of go, how's it happened?
Yeah.
Like, but there's obviously a lot of people out there that feel opposite to what we do. Their opinions in their head are justified like ours are. But it's all comes down to the media, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, definitely.
It's whatever you're feeding people, and they choose to take away from it. And people are just really thick.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'm thick as well. I'm not saying I'm not. Like, I'm not saying I'm clever, but I'm clever enough to make up my own mind.
And I think with Brexit, I mean, it's one of those decisions that should have been decided by, you know, an economics professor rather than just general public who have no idea.
I actually said that at the time. I was like, because David Mitchell did a big thing in The Guardian, and he was like, it's like giving a dentist the job of doing a brain surgery or something.
Exactly.
It's just like, why? I don't know. It's like I am kind of numb to it, and I'm ashamed to say that I'm numb to it. But then I meet brands like Jägermeister yesterday, and they're really stuck because they're a German company, and because of Brexit, the exchange rate has completely messed up their profits.
Really? Yeah.
It's a big company, and this is a company that does a hell of a lot for for new bands.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
Without Jägermeister, we wouldn't have been able to record the last album.
Yeah.
Full stop. Without Jägermeister, there would have been no video for Virus, Kids of the Multiculture, Sunny Side of the Street, New Style Rocker. They don't ask for anything back.
It's vital, yeah.
And they've just had to, like, cut funding, and it's when you see it like that, it makes me really angry. And then when Trump got in, I was just like, I was so numb from Brexit. I was just like, this planet is a joke.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah, I just found it insane with Brexit, the fact that, you know, the whole take back control, and then you have all these people or companies worldwide who might have an office based in Britain, and now it's like, well, it makes no sense. If there's insecurity over what's happening in Britain, why would they have a head office here? Like, move it to Germany, move it somewhere.
Yeah, people were just completely, it's like, you know, with Cornwall, they receive a certain amount of EU funding towards tourism, and a lot of Cornwall voted out. You know, I don't want to be that person that thinks that everyone that voted out is unintelligent and doesn't have valid arguments, because if I make that judgment, it's just from what I've seen on the news. I'm sure there are economic arguments, and it isn't just old people that go, oh, well, back in my day, I like to think that it's not just that, but it's just it's a mess. And it's even yesterday the Lords rejected it. It's like, it's like, what's going on?
It's just clueless, isn't it? I mean, it was deemed like, I mean, I think it was promoted as a very black and white vote as to in or out, but it's a very colourful issue over. But
you know, some people actually, when they were coming out the voting stations, said, oh yeah, I voted for them to go out, and people are like, what? Voted for immigrants to go out. That's not what it meant. That's not what it meant.
And the idea of the immigrant, generally non-white, and it's just like, why can't you see that, you know, Britain isn't just white people born here? Like, it's so frustrating. I was actually gonna. There's a quote. I'm not sure if it was you or Barney back in 2012 when you released your self-titled album, and I found it really interesting because it basically says, we don't want to be preaching to the converted anymore. We actually want to change minds and viewpoints, not confirm what people already know. And I think that idea of, you know, the echo chamber, like social media, you follow people, like-minded individuals and everything, and I think that's why both of us were so shocked with Brexit and everything, because the people you interact with have a similar viewpoint. And another point is that it made me see that sitting on social is not going to change the world. It's such an obvious point now. But, you know, at the time, I'm sharing these memes, like, it's all going to be all right. You know, we've got our little community, and why would anybody vote out? And, you know, it's getting out there, getting on the marches, the protests, so the media can't ignore what's going on. Definitely.
It's so important, and I just hope more people get involved. It's so easy not to. That's the thing. If you're hungover on a Saturday morning and there's a march going on, it takes you an hour and a half to get there, hour and a half to get back. It's raining. You're quite an anxious person. Maybe, you know, you don't want to be around big crowds. London is quite daunting as it is. That takes a lot for you to get out and do that. And people take it for granted just because all their friends are saying, yes, we're going to this march. Here's a picture of me with a placard at said march, that everyone's going to do it, and that's it being dangerous again, I think. It's
one of those things, like, I get so frustrated when people are like, well, what's the point of a march? It doesn't do anything. And yet, I can't remember exactly the example, but there was something that they pushed back not that long ago after the...
And it still happened. It still went ahead.
No, as in they did the march and then they were like, okay, maybe we've got this wrong, and they put it back. So that whole argument of it doesn't do anything is just ridiculous. I mean, even if it's just awareness, get involved with...
And you know, there's like, so when the war on Iraq was, because George Michael obviously died at Christmas. So I got really obsessed, and I was like looking at old YouTube videos and stuff, and reading about his career and everything. And you know, someone as famous as him basically you know, it's not a conspiracy theory, is what happened.
Yeah.
He spoke, a gay man, the media didn't want him to be gay because that doesn't sell, you know. It
doesn't fit the narrative.
Yes, totally. He speaks out against Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Like, massively. Does a song and a video, basically, it's so bad against the war on Iraq.
Yeah.
Tony Blair.
I remember that. It's the cartoon one,
Shoot
wasn't
the
it?
dog. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And since then, from then onwards, you don't hear a peep out of him.
Yeah.
The press are hounding him. They're following him all the time. He can't do a thing. He becomes quite isolated.
Yeah.
You know, a bit. Doesn't leave the house. And like, this is what happens when someone famous tries to speak out.
Yeah.
So when I see people like Meryl Streep speaking out at the Oscars, and the press saying she's an actress, she should not, politics and acting don't mix.
Yeah.
Pop music and politics don't mix.
Yeah.
Like, me and Barney used to have arguments like a few years ago, because I'd be like, oh, can we have some lyrics that aren't just about like politics?
Yeah.
Because frankly, I find it a little bit boring. You know, the social commentary stuff is fine, but I'm singing your words, and I don't want to be singing like Apathy Begins at Home and stuff. I want to like be singing it from my point of view.
Yeah. And
that's why with this album, it's from the point of view of me.
Yeah.
A female, an Asian female living in Britain today.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of beat him down a bit. And he was like, oh, right, okay, if, you know, let's do this. Let's try this. But now I'm like, actually, we can't be embarrassed of it.
Yeah.
If you are even the 1975 and you're collecting a Brit Award, you speak to your millions of young girl followers that are going to actually listen to you and go, oh, okay, so why is this Trump a baddie? Like,
exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It's a responsibility.
It is, and we shouldn't be like demonizing pop stars for talking out about, because you know what, the people that have problems with it are like, oh yeah, they think it's cool. They think it's cool to be political. So what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, so what? I'd rather they go to bed thinking, oh, I'm so cool. I spoke against Donald Trump and did it.
Yeah. And actually raised awareness. I think it goes back to the whole, you know, pigeonholing. No, 1975, they're a pop group. They're not allowed to talk about it. It's not what they do, sort of thing. But why?
But good on them.
Yeah, exactly.
George Michael couldn't talk about it. You know, he didn't have a label because of his views on Palestine and the war. But the labels need the 1975. They need the Ed Sheerans.
Yeah.
So they should be speaking out. They shouldn't like speak out if they're not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect Rihanna to, you know, stand there and deliver a speech on. But you know what? Like when Madonna got her Billboard award and she spoke about being a woman in the last 40 years in the music industry.
Yeah.
Fucking good on her.
Yeah,
so she fucking should.
Yeah.
She's Madonna. Like, she has gone it alone for the last 40 years and got nothing but shit from the media.
Constantly.
It's like, oh, she's 52, she can't wear that. She can wear what the fuck she wants. You know what I mean? Like, just actually fuck off. It's so bad. Sorry, I kept on my swearing to, like,
That's right. I'll make sure there's like a comical noise or something that bleeps it out or something. I mean, it's good. I think we should probably talk about like the latest album, the F-Bomb, and the artwork. Yeah. I mean, it features you in a niqab. Yeah. Could you maybe discuss the importance of that and why?
Well, it's funny because we did it. So my mum's Muslim.
Yeah.
And we did it because when I see a woman in a niqab, I have, you know, if you were measuring my heart rate, it'd stay the same.
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, seeing a woman in a niqab on the front of an album causes a reaction.
Yeah.
Well, you tell me why.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's not an unusual sight. It's not. It's bad because the media says people that wear niqabs are bad. Are bad people that are going to blow you up.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Well, it's the idea of the other again, like, you know,
because I'm not dressed as a terrorist.
Yeah.
I don't know what terrorists dress like, but say I'm not wearing a camo not dressed as like I'm in the army. Like, to me, people in the army are just as bad as terrorists. Like, and I'm not saying people in the army are terrorists. I'm saying if there was a picture of me wearing a camo suit with a bomb in my hand, okay. Because to me, that's more of a terrorist. Or even if I was wearing a niqab and a bomb in my hand. Yeah.
That's the, that's the signifier, not the niqab.
Yeah. But to me, it seems like people see that bomb when there isn't one there.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. That's why in the digipack, it's like you take the sleeve off and it's just me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, underneath it is a person, and we should be, we shouldn't be judging the look.
Yeah.
Like, that is that person's beliefs.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's so ridiculous that even in this day and age, you have the Daily Mail and the Sun constantly saying these are the people you need to fear and everything. Because I had it sort of the other day. I was walking to the nearest sort of tube station, and there was like a young black guy sort of walking near me, and it just made me sort of think, like, why is it that I'm supposed to almost be scared of like a young black man? Like, why is that? And then you think of the media and how they're constantly portrayed, even if in America, when there's been shootings of unarmed black men, and even the picture that they choose is not like a smiley. It's always of course. Here's a.
And the thing is, we're young enough and intelligent enough to kind of see that. But I don't even know if it's I guess it is a bit of an age thing as well. But you see the sun, how the sun is allowed to operate. Yeah. They actually write lies. Yeah. And then now and again apologise if they get caught out.
A 1 inch kind of thing that you can't see.
The damage is done.
Yeah.
If any given time you look at the front page of the Sun, the headlines are vile.
Yeah.
They are. We were in Liverpool the other day, and they've banned the Sun.
Yeah.
You read about the Hillsborough disaster.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
How is it not? How are people not been arrested? How is the Sun allowed to keep going?
Yeah,
and
true.
How many millions of people buy and read the Sun? My dad buys the Sun.
Really?
Every day it gets delivered to our house.
Yeah.
Because he's working class. Yeah. And he doesn't even read it. But, his opinions subconsciously or consciously are formed by what's in there. Yeah. He voted out.
Really, yeah.
He's Pakistani.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And he's like, the country's full. And I'm like, but you don't get to decide that. Like, yeah, so the album, we wanted it like a piece of art.
Yeah.
And it's like we knew it would be a talking point, but we wanted to see, it was like an experiment to see why it was a talking point.
Yeah.
Because I got asked so I've done a few interviews about the album cover.
Yeah.
And people say, so what made you choose such a controversial album cover? Which you didn't ask me, like, in all fairness. And I'm like, why is it controversial? Yeah. I'm a Pakistani female, lives in Britain. My mum's Muslim.
Yeah.
I'm not, but it's part of my heritage.
Yeah.
I'm not. There's no cultural appropriation going on here. This is what I come from. And it's like, well, you knew it must be, you must have known it was going to cause some problems. Nope. I mean, we are going to America in the summer. It might cause some problems, but it is what it is. I don't see why it should. And that isn't a terrorist. It's a picture of a woman in a niqab.
Yeah.
It isn't a terrorist.
I don't know. I really hope within the next decade or two that things get better, ideally with the end of the Sun and the Mail. But I just don't know.
I don't know. I think I definitely can't bring kids into this world. I'm at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm just like, but then, you get people that say, look, in the 70s, this was happening. Like, imagine if this was happening.
Yeah.
And that was happening in the 70s. And I'm like, yeah, but that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
You can't compare stuff.
Yeah.
We're meant to be moving forward. Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America. That is all I'm saying.
Makes me feel ill.
Donald Trump. I prefer Donald Duck.
Yeah.
It's like when he comes on the telly, I laugh.
Yeah.
I laugh. because I'm like my husband Nick, he's obsessed with him.
Yeah.
He hates him.
Yeah.
When he comes on telly, he's like that. And I'm like, why are you like staring at the TV when Donald Trump's on it? And he's like, look at him.
Yeah.
He's such a weird guy. He hasn't... I think someone's having a really horrible joke that's just gone a bit too far.
Do you know what? I blame Charlie Brooker and Black Mirror. Let's blame him.
I do. It is Charlie Brooker. He's like the puppet master.
Yeah. I think like I'm really obsessed with concepts of identity and community, and I think going back to kind of social media and the present day, I think there really is a struggle. It kind of seems like a transitional time with identity, and you know, what is it to be British in 2017 or to be a man, or you know, it seems like a very transitional. It's
like the divide is bigger. It's like the divide between people that accept you know, that gender isn't a thing, you know, it doesn't matter, male, female, you believe and you choose what you are comfortable with, what you believe, but then the divide between that person and the person that will like share homophobic, transphobic stuff, it's like such a big divide, and it's, I don't know, you just see it where you'll get one person that says something wrong or what other people think is wrong.
Yeah.
So, for example, Marcia from The Skints, who I absolutely love, she put a thing about people coming up to her and touching her hair. Like, if people did that to me, they would get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, I hate people touching my hair. But she's got black hair, you know. And I didn't even think that was a thing, that people would come up and touch it. And she put a nice thing saying, the next person that comes up to me and touches my hair without asking, I'm going to have a serious, you know, typical Marcia style, because she's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And a woman went on her status, and she wasn't racist. She was just thick. And she was like, oh, what did she say? She said something like, oh, I'd love to touch your hair. She completely missed the point of what Marcia was saying. And then about 50 people jumped on this woman.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you're the problem with this world. Can't you see she's talking about people like you? And this woman was like, I don't understand. I just want to touch it because it looks nice.
Yeah.
Like making it worse.
Yeah.
But she's not. She wasn't being malicious.
Yeah. It's just the ignorance, isn't it?
It's ignorance, and it's not that black and white.
Yeah.
You're not there are some people that are just horrendously racist, and they will not see someone's point of view. This woman was like a daft woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not excusing her, but at the same time I'm saying jumping on her is just going to make her go, it's going to get her back up.
Yeah.
You know, I've got friends that will say something and I'll go, I won't pull them up in front of everyone.
Yeah.
But when it's just me and them, I'll be like, oh, you know, that's kind of not appropriate.
Yeah.
And, you know, it'll get her back up. She'll go, oh, fucking hell, you can't say anything these days, can you? And I was like, no, but think about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you were that person, it's just not nice.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, but back in the day, and I'm like, yeah, but that's the whole point. We don't want to be back in the day.
Exactly.
We don't want to compare to the past.
Yeah.
We want to
move
forward, totally. And then she gets it. But then this woman, if I was this woman, I'd be like, oh, you're all a bunch of left-wing sensitive dickheads. I'm off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's so complicated.
But I think as well, it kind of, again, it goes kind of back to being in an echo chamber, and instead of, I sort of see it with, you know, the left and the right and everything. People just cling on to like-minded individuals, and then it's a very us versus them kind of thing, instead of what it should be, which it needs to be a conversation. Yeah. Like you're saying, it needs to be, here's my opinion and trying to change minds.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about that. It's like me and another mate of mine, Matt, we pride ourselves on wanting our opinion changed.
Yeah.
You know, we can all be judgmental.
Yeah.
And we can all have these horrible little, you know, somebody can get mugged or attacked by a Pakistani person, and then for the rest of their life, they have this fear, hatred for Pakistani people.
Yeah.
It is hard to just sit there and go, well, no, you're racist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, that is a big element of it, but something's happened for them to look at it that way. And like you're saying, it's the conversations need to be had instead of this is what I think and that's it. And I love, every day I change my mind about stuff because I've read something or I've spoken to someone and they're like, oh, no. Like, this is, like, look at it from this point of view. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm not, but then you get people that are like, oh, I'm proud, I don't care when people think I'm a dick. That's just me. And it's like, well, you're horrible.
Yeah.
I think if you just try and be a nice person, which sounds so trite, but if you try and be a nice person...
Yeah. And try to understand things from the other point of view as well.
Totally. Even if that other point of view is something you completely disagree with, listen and then disagree with it if you want.
Yeah. Do you know, like, I'm really trying at the moment to read more, I guess, because I'm sort of maybe centre-left sort of thing, like trying to read a little bit more of what the right opinion is, as in the right wing sort of, just to... I don't expect it will change my mind, but it's important to understand what the other side...
And you're not reading it for it to change your mind either. You're reading
understanding.
It because then you can form arguments and conversations that appeal to them, that will hook them in, rather than you going with your point of view and not being open to theirs.
And just being a shouting match, like who can shout the loudest, basically.
Exactly. Like, that never works.
Yeah. So, I guess to kind of wrap things up, since you've had so much kind of experience within the music industry and touring worldwide and multiple releases and dedicated fans, did I see right that people are getting tattoos of...
Yes!
Just to, like, before the last question, can you talk about that? Yeah,
so we've got a friend, a fan of the band, Hope, who it's complicated with Hope. When I met Hope, they were Steve.
Okay, yeah.
And they've gone through a transitional period. But Hope, I don't mean to speak on behalf of Hope.
Yeah.
But they doesn't want to be labelled as any gender.
Okay.
Because they had bad experiences in both being a male and when transitioning.
Yeah.
And we wrote a song, Joanna.
Okay.
Which is dedicated to Laura Jane Grace.
Yeah.
And it's basically a song for anybody who's transitioning or anybody who identifies with a gender that they weren't born with.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond that as well. It's a song from the point of view of a person beginning to accept their friend as as a different gender.
Yeah.
Or if they come out as being gay, it's seeing their friend for the first time in a different light.
Yeah. And
that being a positive light, and then being the guiding light for other people that feel the same way, but haven't, but circumstances mean they can't deal with it or come out. And Hope is very much under that umbrella of that song.
Yeah.
And just out of nowhere, tagged on Facebook, has just got a massive tattoo of my face.
That's incredible.
On there, like...
Right on, Hope.
Yeah,
that's
right
so
on.
Cool.
Yeah, right on, Hope. And Hope has a hard time, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
But they keep fighting.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Hope lives in Margate, which is not a very open-minded town.
Yeah.
But Hope does not give a shit.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So big up Hope.
Yeah, big up Hope. So my last question is kind of the general kind of rounding off, but what advice could you give to kind of upcoming artists or musicians for a long-lasting career in music? What would you say to them?
I'd say have dedicated roles in your band.
Yeah.
Don't have one person doing everything. Have it so that you're running it like a little business.
Yeah.
That shouldn't take away from the creativity side of it. But if you can run it like a little business, like someone looks after social media, someone does accounts, someone deals with the website and creative stuff, it makes it a lot fairer, because people forget the creative stuff will happen.
Yeah.
You'll get together and you'll write songs. That is, if you can't do that, there is no band.
Yeah.
But it's all the other stuff that you feel, especially if there's like egos in the band.
Yeah.
You feel that it shouldn't be your job.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Well, why should I have to do the accounts? I just want to play guitar.
Yeah.
It's not how it works.
Yeah.
For 99% of bands, that's not how it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
You're going to look at it like a business. You're all going to play a role, and you're all going to pull your weight, and you know, the writing and everything else will come naturally.
Yeah.
And it is tough. It's tough to get gigs. It's tough when you're a new band, but keep at it, stick to your guns, and if it looks like everything else is being looked after, like social, I know I keep coming back to social, but I find it, you know, people moan about the world changing, the music industry changing,
Yeah.
but you just have to keep up,
Yeah,
and you have
definitely.
to adapt. It's like someone like Ginger from the Wild Hearts,
Yeah.
like massive band in the 90s. He's all over it
Yeah.
on social media. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
He can assemble his fan base in one tweet
Yeah.
or one Facebook post. Like, that's powerful.
Definitely.
That is powerful. There are several other people like Ginger, even bigger, that don't, you know, I'm not saying that you need to be tweeting selfies and stuff every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're not asking to be Kim Kardashian. It's just be aware, or get somebody to do that stuff for you.
Yeah.
You know, a friend or somebody that'll, you know, just when you're a big band, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Because you've got people doing it for you, probably.
Yeah, your label. It doesn't matter. You kind of like, because of digital and the way things are, people know where you are anyway.
Yeah.
But if you're a small to medium-sized band and you want to run it as a business, you've got to get more digitally savvy.
Yeah, and I think if you can be independent from the start, later on when you do get a manager or publishing or label or whatever,
Exactly.
it's easier to take that, you know, let them take it on rather than
There's
being
bands without management that, you know, you have to not get bitter, and you have to go, I choose to do this.
Yeah.
It's like a job.
Yeah, definitely.
You choose to do it. If you start going, oh, I don't understand why I've got to do this, then don't.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out the van and go
Yeah,
home.
no, definitely. That's a good point to leave on, I think. I really appreciate it, Laila.
That's okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to Laila for such an enjoyable and deep conversation. I really hope you guys enjoyed listening to it, and it got you thinking about the role of identity in your life. If you did enjoy it, I'd really appreciate you liking this podcast on whichever platform you're using. Such Great Heights is all about getting a deeper understanding of the artists, professionals and creatives you know and love, so you can connect with them on a more profound level and learn from their experiences. If you have an idea of who would be a good guest, or if you agree or disagree with anything you've heard in this episode, then get in touch. For Twitter, follow and tweet at Such Great. For Facebook, like and comment by searching Such Great, all one word. I'll be posting more video content on YouTube very soon. Search for Such Great Heights podcast and you'll find me. Subscribe and join the family. Thanks for listening. Join the conversation online, and if you know anyone who might enjoy this podcast series, please spread the word. It's much appreciated. Until next time, hurrah.